Hello, everybody. Welcome to 1.4. In 1.4, we're talking about the basic rules of algebra. And so this is really property heavy. So right out of the gate, let's talk about this. We have commutative property of addition and multiplication. We have associative property of addition and multiplication. I've laid out three examples for you already, but commutative just changes the order of things. So I went from y plus 2 to 2 plus y. And that's just telling you, this property says that whether it's y plus 2 or 2 plus y, that's the same thing. Here with multiplication, I'm changing the order. Uh, so 4 times y is the same thing as y times 4. And that property says that those two are equal. Now, associative, so commutative says I'm changing the order. Associative says I'm changing the group. And I remember this because uh, uh, when you change the grouping, you change who you associate with. That's how I think about it. And that seems to work for me. So maybe that works for you. But you change the grouping. So uh, 15 plus parentheses 6 plus x equals the same thing as parentheses 15 plus 6 plus x. Okay. Now, when it comes to the problems that we're going to work today, um, when you change the order, not a lot's going to happen. But when you change the grouping, sometimes there's going to be some number crunching that follows that, and we'll look at some of that here. But for number one, if I wanted you to give me the commutative property, you would just simply change the order, and it would be 3x plus 9. Okay. If I wanted you to give me the commutative property on number two, the commutative property of addition says that I would change just the inside and say 9 plus x. If you were doing uh, the commutative property of multiplication, then you could take the 10 and move it to the back. And that's exactly what we're going to do on number three, which is commutative property of multiplication. So this is going to be x plus 4 times 7. Okay? So their homework will be specific in its instructions, whether to use commutative property of addition or uh, multiplication. But those are what we're dealing with here. On number 4, this is an example of they want you to do the associative property. So you're going to change the grouping. This would be the associative property of multiplication. Um, so that would be 9 times 6 times x. And again, as I said a while ago, sometimes when you change the grouping, there's number crunching that you want to do. So in this case, 9 times 6 is 54. And so that's 54x. Okay. Number 5, this doesn't really apply to the properties here, but it is one of the basic rules of algebra that if I have two terms that have the same variable, then these are what we call the same variable to the same power. Then these are called like terms. So 2x and 10x are like terms. And you'll often hear something along the lines of combined like terms. Well, that's what we're doing here. If they're on the same side of the equal sign, you do them straight up. So like here on number 5, we say 2x plus 10x. That's going to be 12x. Okay. Um, Again, you have on 6, you have 4 and 16. So you know that's going to be 20. All right, when I'm adding next to a parentheses, that doesn't really mean anything. So essentially what I could do is drop the parentheses here. All right, so this is going to be x plus 20. Now, you could say 20 plus x or x plus 20. As you remember, that's commutative property. It means the same thing. X plus 20 or 20 plus x doesn't, it's still the same. So it's really just a matter of preference or habit. In my case, it's habit of writing x first. 7, regardless of if you have parentheses or not, you can change the order if it helps and say 2y plus 9y plus 9 instead of having the 2y separated. But you have a, sorry, you have a y here and a y here, so that's going to be 11y total plus 9. Okay, it's as simple as that. On the right, you have an x here and an x here. If you don't have a variable, it's called a constant term. You have a constant term here and here. Okay, so 6, 2 and 6 is going to be 8x. 4 and negative 3 is going to be plus 1. Okay. Here, you want to distribute, meaning you want to take 3 out front. You want to give it to everything on the inside. Okay, so that means this is going to be 15x plus 12 minus 7. And then you would say that 12 minus 7 is 5, so this would be 15x plus 5. 12 is bigger, 12 is positive, so this is going to be plus 5. and that will be my answer. Okay. Number 10, there's a lot going on here, but we're just going to take it one step at a time. We're going to distribute everything or expand everything. And so I'm going to say 6 times 5, A and B. All right, so 6 times 5 is 30, and the A just kind of comes down. 6 times B is 6B plus 5 times A is 5A plus 5 times 4 is 20. So it's going to be 20B. Okay. Again, you look for your common your like terms. So in this case, which are my I have one variable, or which or where are my like variables at? So 30A and 5A, that's going to be 35A. 6B and 20B, that's going to be 26B. Okay. Mm, right. Just checking my math real quick. 30A, 6B, 18B. Okay. On number 11, this is just one of those problems where you take the English and you convert it to math. So this is the product of 3 and a number is 3x. And technically, a number could be any variable, any of the 26 letters of the English alphabet, or you could pick a different alphabet to use. You can even use pictures or whatever. It's just something that is a placeholder. And a lot of times in algebra, we use x as a placeholder or some letter of the alphabet. So the product of 3 and a number, that's 3x, which is then subtracted from, right? Subtracted from means that 3x is going to go to the back of whatever the next thing is from the product of 18 and x. So I got 18x. And again, I'm subtracting 3x from that. Well, that is the problem. That's the setup. But just like the associative property, sometimes there's some number crunching that we can do. In this situation, we have like terms 18x minus 3x. Well, that's 15x. Okay. So on Pearson and your homework, this could be a two-step problem where they ask you for the 18x minus 3x first, and then ask you to finish it, like combine like terms. So just be aware of that. So if you have any questions, reach out to me through email, and I will see you in the next video.